So even that infamous Valentine's Day in 1994, when I kind of got shocked out of my denial a little bit, and it was only a crack in that proverbial wall of denial, because I'm considering living arrangements. And what do I consider? Assisted living. They didn't need assistance, they needed supervision. They were way beyond assisted living. They were way beyond skilled nursing. They needed to be in memory impairment. But see, I'm still in denial. I think, oh, assisted living will work. No, that didn't work. And the important thing about choosing the appropriate living arrangement is, I got them into assisted living, and I had to move them. The first 18 months after I got them into the system, I moved them 16 times. I was insane. They're in assisted living, and then my stepfather had to go to the hospital, then mother fell and broke her hip, and she went to the hospital, and Carl went to rehab, then mother went to rehab, and I would wake up and think, where are they? Where did I leave them yesterday? It was like, who's on first, trying to figure this out. Had I not been in denial, they'd have gone straight to memory impairment and saved us all a lot of grief. They'd have saved 18 months of agony for me and for them. Because every time I moved them, they got more confused. Because they don't know who all these people are. And then they were distressed because the other one wasn't there. And it was a total nightmare. And I share all of that in the book in hopes of helping other people. It's like, when you need for them to live somewhere else, please evaluate it very carefully, and the 117 warning signs will help you do that. And place them in the proper place to start with. We are running out of time. Well, way out of time. Okay, so how do you communicate effectively with people that have delusions? And Dr. Jacobson talked a little bit about that. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples, because we know that the spectrum of delusions is broad and it's long. But the thing about delusions is, if you agree with the delusion, you reinforce it. If you confront it, you drive it deeper. Right? So reinforcement and driving it deeper is kind of like the same thing. Dr. Jacobson mentioned that, you don't get into an argument with them and you don't confront that. So my mom used to say that my Aunt May came to see her. My Aunt May had been dead more than 10 years. Now, I'm not going to confront it and say, Mama, Aunt May didn't come. First of all, I don't know whether she came or not. I don't know that. I'm not privy to everything that goes on the other side of the veil. I don't know whether she came or not. And that doesn't even matter. But I don't say, Mom, I took you to the funeral. Don't you remember we went back to Dothan? I don't do that. And I also don't agree with it. I don't say, yeah, I passed her in the hall coming in. I'm pretty sure I didn't see Aunt May. But I look for what the delusion represents. She misses her sister. So I meet her at that level, as Dr. Jacobson mentioned, and I say, Mama, you really miss Aunt May, don't you? Tell me about the time when you and Aunt May were at that dance and you met Daddy. Now see, now I've distracted her. She's talking about what the delusion represents. Carl used to say, when your mother's better, because there's nothing wrong with him, when your mother's better, we're going to take a trip. We're going all the way to California. Now, I don't confront that and say, are you nuts? You can't even stand up by yourself. And even if you do go, you're not taking Mother. And I also don't agree with it and say, y'all be in San Diego and the Winnebago, I'm sure. That's not going to happen. I look for what the delusion represents. He wants to talk about a happier time in his life. Right? So I say, Papa, tell me about the times when your mother went to California, because I used to live in California, and they drive out there and see me. So you see, you meet them where they are and let them talk about what the delusion represents. And I know I've got about, 3 or 4 minutes. Let's talk about caregivers taking care of yourselves first. This is a wake-up call. Got everybody's attention? 50% of long-term caregivers will die before the person they're taking care of. Do you hear that? That's why it's so important for you to take care of yourself. If you've ever been on a plane and they say if we lose cabin pressure, the oxygen mask drops down, put it on yourself first. Ever hear that? Put it on yourself first, and then if you have children or, disabled people, help other people in, but you can't help them if you don't take care of yourself. So that's why it is so important. One of the reasons that caregivers, 50% of them die before the person they're taking care of, is they stop taking care of themselves, they don't go for their physicals, they don't take their own medications properly, they're not exercising, they pack on 30, 40, 50 pounds in 2 or 3 years, they get high blood pressure, they get high cholesterol, even diabetes in families where there has never been any history of diabetes.